Hi everyone, I'm Anne-Marie from brambleberry.com. Thanks so much for joining me on today's video. Today's video is so exciting. Little known fun fact is that my very favorite color is actually rainbow, legit rainbow. And so over the years, we have done so many cold process recipes in a rainbow style. We've done rainbow columns, we've done rainbow hanger swirls, we've done rainbow drop swirls, we've done mica lines, we have done everything. But today's rainbow is a totally new technique that we've never done on this channel. So let's get into this very special rainbow swirl. This rainbow swirl is called a Splash Swirl. Shout out to Chris from Thai Herbal Soaps. And we're so thankful that Nathan Clapp from Clover Soapworks has updated this and created this special project for Brambleberry. In fact, we did this really cool collab with Nathan that has like special kits for Brambleberry, cute fragrance collections, and more. So if you're interested in the collab, check out the link below and see what he's created for us all in the Rainbow Fun palette. First, let's talk about the ingredients just real quick. Some really important things. First of all, obviously bright colors. You're gonna need your fully soap safe tested micas or colorants for this. 2, long-lasting fragrance oil. So this is Brambleberry's Energy fragrance. It's one of our most popular fragrance for a reason. It gives you forever to work with it, and it stays water white in the soap, which means if you don't want to use titanium dioxide to get this bright white background, you don't need to. Next, we are using the Brambleberry Swirl Quick Mix. And if you have never used Brambleberry Quick Mixes before, these are a game changer. They are fully measured out, perfectly proportioned oil mixtures to get exactly what you want in this soap. So in this case, we're using the swirl recipe because it gives us longer to work with the soap, but there's multiple quick mixes for whatever you want for your final batch, but it does save tons of time. This is boilable and heatable in the microwave, and so you just heat it up, measure it out, add it to your container, and you are done. No more mixing and measuring except for that. And then finally, we are using the Brambleberry Hanger Tool. So this is used to basically get this awesome swirl. You have a lot of different options to do with it. You can do the loop-de-loop, you can do this type of swirl and design. There's a lot of things to do with the hanger tool. One thing to note is this is coated with a chemical resistant plastic because aluminum, just a reminder, reacts with the lye in the cold process soap recipe and creates a noxious gas. So if you're trying to DIY this at home, make sure you're not using anything with aluminum. All right, are we ready to get started? Let's suit up for safety. So reminder, we're gonna be doing goggles, gloves, long sleeves, long pants, closed-toed shoes, no children, no pets in the area. You've got 45 minutes to work. You're in a well-ventilated area. Let's get started. Fully suited up for safety. And now we're gonna talk about another very important component of this project, preparation. So I have my quick mix weighed out here. I have my lye water with the sodium lactate in here already, and I have my fragrance fully already weighed out. Everything is done by weight. Then I have all of my colorants already pre-mixed in these little containers. The usage rate for this is about 1/2 teaspoon of colorant into a super small amount of oil. We don't really want to be giving this too much extra liquid. So just do what you need to do in order to get the colorant nice and runny inside of your containers. And then once the soap is made, we're going to be pouring about 1.5 ounces. You notice I have a scale right here into each of these containers. Finally, just because I struggled just a little bit with my eyeballing technique, I went ahead and I put little tiny pen marks to kind of keep me in the colorant alignment. And you'll see, because we're gonna be pouring the rainbow colors directly onto the top of the soap, it'll all make sense, but I also did this for preparation. Pouring my lye water and sodium lactate slowly down the shaft of my stick blender to help reduce bubbles. Gonna go ahead and pour my fragrance in. Then I'm gonna get my scale set up and keeping this at a really, really, really thin trace. This is just barely emulsified. It's not at all at pouring trace yet. I am just going to get just 1.5 ounces in each of these. So putting this on the scale, and hitting the tear button, and there we go. And in between this, I will give every 3 or 4 of these a little stick blend just to make sure that my soap is sticking together. Because one of the things about soap that hasn't fully traced / emulsified is it tends to want to separate. And when it does that, you get different fatty acid components in different parts of the soap, which you don't want. So that can lead to separation, uneven texture. And once these are done, then I have a tiny little mini mixer that I'll just mix these in with. And then we'll be ready to go, and you'll be able to see the magic of this technique. Now, just pouring into my mold with all of the soap. And I'll take my spatula and I'll just get all the soap out because we don't want to waste any of this precious soap. Plus, having a really clean glass container makes for much easier cleanup in the end, because I think I can probably speak for all of us watching today that cleanup is all of our least favorite things to do. So now I'm going to grab my mini mixer, give these a quick mix. Now I've poured all my colors on the top. There's a little bit of soap left over in these. Don't stress out about that because I want to keep my lines as clean as possible. Now it's time to take my hanger swirl. You notice I have this already bent. I'm just going to go down, up, down. So directly down, directly up, directly down, directly up. And the more little down ups you get, the more little cute colorant drags you get to the bottom. So keep that in mind when you're like, how many should I do? So now we're done with this. I'm gonna put this to the side. First, I'm gonna wipe it off. It is raw soap, so there we go. And then it's time to swirl. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a linear swirl. And you can get a really fine point if you want, like with a chopstick, or I'm gonna go actually probably with a fatter one. So I'm gonna go with the back of this to get a beautiful swirl. So I'm gonna go all the way down and then I'm gonna just go sideways. You ready to be mesmerized? Here we go. So you insert very little, so just like 1/4 of an inch. You're not going for a lot, and then you go down. And the reason we drag this linear swirl this way, and because you're like, this isn't doing much, is in the end final design, it really adds to the texture to have it dragged like this. But you want to make sure that that chopstick is not that far in because you don't want any of your swirls that you just so carefully made with the hanger swirl to be ruined. And then this is just perfect the way it is, but since I like glitter and unicorns, I'm gonna put just a teensy little bit of mica on top of this. Final step here before putting it on the heat pad is just I'm gonna spray with 99% rubbing alcohol. That helps to prevent soda ash because we don't want soda ash on this beautiful batch of soap. And then I'm gonna put this right on the heating pad. There are a couple tips and tricks I have for you to achieve extra bright, vibrant colors each and every time you make this particular project or any time you want bright colors. 1, always gel phase your soap. So make sure that soap goes through a full gel phase by putting on a heating pad or soaping slightly warmer. 2, always make sure you're using totally soap safe tested colorants. So like all the colors from Brambleberry are literally this bright because they've been designed by soap makers for soap makers. Natural colorants, which are super awesome because if you're trying to make a natural colored soap and you want everything to be all natural, are really great, but they are natural. So you're not gonna get a really bright color. And finally, always make sure you're using like a water white fragrance that doesn't discolor, and be thinking of your usage rates. Since there's such a small amount of color here, you can actually pump up your colorant usage rates in a way that you wouldn't normally be able to if you were coloring the whole batch of soap, right? Because soap that's been over-colored lathers colors, which is weird in the shower and also can stain washcloths. But since this is such a small amount, it won't. So you can always pump up your usage rate if you're not getting bright enough colors. So we obviously made this a few days ago and it is ready to cut, and I just wanted to show you what this looks like cut. So there's a couple of things you could do. One, you can always use like the wire multi-bar cutter for ease of use. I like to use a non-serrated knife, especially with these kind of designs, because I find that the air bubbles show up a little bit less when I'm using the non-serrated knife versus the wire cutter. Not really sure what the science is behind that, but I'm just gonna cut right in the middle here and eyeball it. beautiful texture. That swirl mix just gives such a nice texture. And you can see our color went nicely down about halfway for this. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the bars go, because again, the color and how far it gets drugged down depends on how much volume of soap was on the very top. So that's really interesting. So you guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up below. Obviously subscribe to the channel so you are told each and every time we come out with a new video, and follow us on the socials. We're Brambleberry everywhere. And if you make this or any real recipes that you have learned here and just want to share with the community, please hashtag it BrambleOn so we can all love to see what you're making. And if you have any ideas for what you'd like a future video to be, or just want to say hi, comment below. Until next time, everyone, happy soaping.